Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. So this is a show that actually wasn't something that I was planning to produce, but based off of a poll that I put up not too long ago, and the result of this poll, which is unlike anything I have ever seen on this channel, I said this is something worth talking about. So, as you guys are aware, the NBA season is drawing quickly to conclusion. Most teams have 6 or 7 games left to play. In the Western Conference, in the crowded Western Conference, there's still a lot more movement that could take place. So, right now we have the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are the number 1 seed. They've won 11 in a row. They're just running away with it. The Houston Rockets, who are 50-27, they just won another game. The Lakers, who moved up to the 3 spot, who are now who won 2 in a row. The Nuggets, who lost 2 in a row, who dropped below the Lakers after that loss. Then you had the Golden State Warriors, who have won 3 in a row. You had the Timberwolves, who have won 3 in a row. Then you have the Clippers, who have won 2 in a row. And you have the Grizzlies. Damn, they lost 4 in a row. They went from the 5th to the 8th seed, and the Clippers moved up. So I just said, let me put a poll up on the channel, because I was watching a segment on ESPN First Take, and Marcus Morris Sr. was up there, and he was essentially saying that he gives the Lakers and the Clippers a better chance to come out of the Western Conference than he does the Oklahoma City Thunder, which I disagree with him. But anyway, so I put up a poll on the channel, right? And I only put up this poll about an hour or so ago, and it's unlike any poll I've ever seen. The question was simply this, and I want to show you guys the poll. What team would you pick to win in a first round matchup, the Lakers or the Clippers? After 764 votes, and it's going to get thousands and thousands as time goes on, it is a dead tie. A dead tie. 50-50 down the line. I cannot even remember the last time we put up a poll that was a dead tie after this many votes. And I was like, okay, this is interesting here. People have a lot of interesting things to say in the comments, which we're going to get to right now. And I also want to get into a little bit of the team stats and just kind of weigh in on what I think this matchup could potentially be. So let's get into that now. Okay, first of all, let's get into some of what people were saying. One guy says, depends if Kawhi Leonard is playing and reliable. Another guy says, if Kawhi plays the Clippers. Another guy says, go Clippers. Another guy says, Clippers in 6. One person says, refs will take care of that. Don't worry, Lakers. Another person said, the Lakers should win, but they have LeBron dragging them down. Depends if LeBron decides to actually put forth effort and if he allows Luka to close games. Another guy said, Kawhi and Harden eliminating LeBron and Luka will be great for the sport. Another person says, I'm picking anybody who is playing the Lakers. Another guy says, Lakers win. I have no confidence in the Clippers, so my dislike for the Lakers can't supersede. Another person says, my king. One other viewer says, Lakers and refs. Another guy says, if both teams are healthy, the Clippers have a better overall team than the Lakers. The Lakers have no center that can guard Zubac. Luka can't guard James Harden, and LeBron cannot guard Kawhi. And Austin Reeves cannot guard Norman Powell. The Clippers are the better defensive team and have better depth pieces. So it should be the Clippers. But if health becomes a problem again, then the Lakers win. So that's just what some of the viewers said. Now, my plea to you is I want you guys to go and vote on this poll. I want to see if it changes after a few thousand votes, because I've never seen nothing like that where the decision is so split. And I think it's important that we mention this. There is a possibility that these teams could face each other in the playoffs. If the Lakers are somehow able to hold on to that 3 seed and the Clippers, no. If the Lakers somehow fall, let me just remember. So it's the 1 and the 8, then it's the 7 and the 2, then it's the 3 and the 6. Yes. So if the Lakers fall to the 4th seed and the Clippers move to the 5th seed, these guys could potentially face each other, which I think would be box office. Now, let's look at the Lakers' schedule moving forward before we look at some of the team stats. They just came off in a very impressive win against the Denver Nuggets. So the next opponent they have is the Warriors. I'm going to be rooting for the Lakers in that game, because if the Lakers win, then they knock the Warriors down a peg. So they have the Pelicans, who I think the Lakers are going to win, but then they have the Thunder 2 games in a row. So the next 4 games, they have some serious threats, but I think the Lakers could be victorious. If we look at the Clippers have, who do they have next? They have the Dallas Mavericks for the next 2 games, and they have the Spurs. If the Clippers take care of their business, the Clippers should be able to win all 3 of these games. And then they have a very tough opponent in the Houston Rockets, the Kings, and then they have the Warriors at the end of the season. I think it's also important to bear in mind that the Clippers have the season series right now. So if they beat them, that would be great for them. So you have that. Now let's look at some of this team stats. Okay, let's look at the Lakers team stats this season. Right now, they are the number 19th offense in the game. In terms of points per game, yeah, they're 19th. Opponents' points per game, they're 12th. So they're scoring 113 a game and giving up 112. In terms of their offensive rating, they're number 14th, and their defensive rating, they're number 14. So they're pretty much a middle of the pack team. They're good defensively, and they're good offensively. Let's look at the Clippers. On the Clippers side of things, let's see how this team is looking this season. So points per game, they're 20th. So the Lakers have a better offense. Defense, however, the Clippers are much better. They allow 4 less points per game. So they score about 112. So the Lakers actually score more than the Clippers. But the Clippers give up 4 less points per game at 108. Offensive rating, they're 18th, as I just said. Defensively, they're the 4th ranked defense in the NBA. Now, if we look at the depth chart, if we look at both teams have a big 3. The Lakers, their big 3 is quite clear. LeBron, Luka, Austin Reeves, in terms of their players that can go out there and score a lot of points. The Clippers, you have Kawhi Leonard, Norman Powell, James Harden, right? Now, if they were to face each other in the playoffs, I think the Clippers will have some problems. But the Clippers are adept at playing against Luka Doncic because for the 3 times they faced him in the playoffs, they beat him 2 of those times. The 3rd time, Kawhi was not healthy at all. But Luka has been having big games against the Clippers. And the reason that is because Ty Lue elects to keep Ivica Zubac on the floor, who's a very important piece this year. And because of that, they pick and roll him to death, and Luka always gets the switch. And whenever he gets the switch on Ivica Zubac, it's barbecue chicken. The question then becomes, how long does Ty Lue go to that? And the reason teams usually try to take advantage of that matchup is because they're trying to force Ty Lue to take Ivica Zubac off the floor, right? So if they keep attacking that player, their hope is to get him off the floor. And he's found ways in the past to ultimately beat the Mavs. Now, something important worth mentioning. People keep talking about, oh, Luka Doncic cooks the Clippers, he cooks Kawhi, and all of this stuff. When was the last game you saw Luka Doncic playing against the Clippers and he got the switch on Kawhi Leonard and he kept on playing against Kawhi Leonard or he didn't ask for another screen? They go into he goes to his favorite matchup, but if he cooks Kawhi, why doesn't he stay on Kawhi? Do you know why? Because when Luka plays Kawhi Leonard, he shoots in the 30% when Kawhi Leonard is his primary defender. Kawhi was able to guard Giannis, for God's sakes. He was able to guard Giannis, who is way more physically imposing than Luka Doncic. He guarded him. He can't guard Luka. Whenever he guards Luka, his offensive numbers, he shoots below 40%. So they're going to have to make a decision on whether or not Kawhi is going to have to fight over those picks or not. I think if they play the Lakers, it's going to be a very difficult series for the Clippers to win because of that Luka matchup. And I don't know the personnel that they have to guard LeBron. Now, Dunn is an amazing defender. He should be one of the Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Son is an amazing defender. But I think it'll be a very difficult series. And if I had to pick, well, I'm going to pick the Clippers because I'm not going to pick the Lakers. We're back with another Russell Westbrook slander video, right? What prompted this video? Well, we all know what happened. The Denver Nuggets were playing against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and Russell Westbrook was essentially the donkey of the game, where he had probably one of the worst sequences most of us have seen in a long time, where it was a 2-on-1 fast break. He had an opportunity to lay the ball up. He missed the layup. Then, with the Denver Nuggets in the lead, I think by 1 or 2 points or so, He then comes down, the buzzer expires, and he fouls the three-point shooter. The guy goes to the free throw line. He hits, I think, 2 or 3 out of the 3 free throws, whatever it was. He hits enough free throws, and then they end up winning the game, right? It's also worth noting that Jamal Murray didn't play in that game. So they lost the game, and everybody was going off on Russell Westbrook yesterday. Or was it yesterday? Yeah, I think it was yesterday. Now, we didn't produce a show about it because I had other things I wanted to talk about, and I knew other people were going to talk about it. And I don't think the audience would have been that interested in it if I did. I don't know. I could be wrong, right? But I don't think our audience would have been that interested in it. So you had that. And everyone spoke about it. They spoke about it on ESPN First Take, some other places as well. And then I came across a segment from Speak for Yourself featuring Kevin Wiles, Chris Broussard, and Nick Wright. And they were discussing this blunder that Russell Westbrook had at the end of that game. And when it came time for Nick Wright to weigh in, well, let me just say this. Not only did Nick Wright go in on Russell Westbrook, he seized on the opportunity to use it as a moment to take a shot at Westbrook while elevating LeBron James at the same time. And I'm saying to myself, how did this guy manage to bring LeBron into this situation here? So for those of you who didn't hear what Nick Wright had to say, his brutal takedown of Russell Westbrook, we want to play it for you now. And then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to what Nick had to say here.
On the Russ stuff, we tried to warn you, Denver. And in the very beginning, a whole lot of chirping. Why couldn't LeBron make it work the way Joker can? Oh, not from you, Brew. I'm just saying a whole lot of, man, one of the things that makes Joker so special is his ability to, Russ he got him for the minimum, was a forgotten guy. But look, the answer is no, you can't fix him. Russ is an all-time legendary player. But you don't think he's
playing well? I mean, he's playing well with Denver for what he's doing. He's not a star at this point. Yeah. He lost them a game.
No.
It's one game. I'm not going to say – Jokic – it's not even just Jokic. Russ is fit in well there.
Yeah, he won't when it matters. He won't.
He's not a star. If they're counting on Russell Westbrook to get them a championship, yeah, they're in trouble.
What I'm telling you, he will be a net negative on winning playoff games. I'm not ready to say that. If I may, I am ready to say that. He has not been able to contribute to winning basketball in nearly a decade. In nearly a decade. There have been 5 teams that have opted in to the Russell Westbrook experience. One of them, it was smart because it was the one team that was like, hey, we just want to maybe find a way to make it into the playoffs. Washington. And that's when Houston had real championship aspirations with an MVP-level player. It did not work. The Lakers had real championship aspirations with an MVP-level player. It did not work. The Clippers, a lot of similarities to this, regular season, he's accepting his role. Maybe it'll work. And the Clippers era ended with a playoff series where, this is accurate, he played 19 minutes per game, scoring 6 points per game on 26-23 splits in the postseason, which is only slightly worse than his postseason numbers this decade, which are 16 points a game on 37-27 splits. The Clippers had real championship aspirations with an MVP-level player, and now the Nuggets. They have all taken their turn on the late-stage Russell Westbrook carousel, and it always will end like this because he does not have the ability to not be Russell Westbrook at all times, and that's kind of the point you were making. It's also why,
the whole way.
Right, 7 years ago when this show first started, I used to say if you have any young person who plays sports, the person whose tape you should make them watch is Russell Westbrook because you can't tell. Is it the first quarter or the fourth quarter? Is it the playoffs? Is it not? Because he is going so hard, all effort, all times. But at this point, his greatest assets become his greatest liability. And so I am not surprised by this. And I do think that, do I feel awful for us? I don't know. I didn't love him whining at the ref. I didn't love him walking back up on the fan who said something to him, which he has made a big part of the last half decade of his career, which is, I'm unfairly maligned by either media or fans. It comes with the territory, and I'm not surprised at all by anything we saw last night.
So you heard what Nick Wright had to say. So let me tell you why these guys hate Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook started to become hated the moment he decided to join the Los Angeles Lakers. That was the end for him. That was the end for Russell Westbrook's career and credibility. I want you guys to think about something. Prior to Westbrook joining the Lakers, the year before he was with the Washington Wizards, he averaged a triple-double, and they made it into the play-in. That summer when they acquired Russell Westbrook, everybody and their grandmother was twerking it up all over the table, pouring honey all over each other, hollering and screaming, talking about the Lakers going to the final. As a matter of fact, I remember them saying that the Lakers had the second best odds to win it all and the number one odds to come out of the Western Conference, excuse me. Oh, people were twerking. People were twerking. We were all twerking. They're twerking. And then they lost a few games. Then they were like a 500 team. After their first 20 games. And then slowly panic started to set in. And as the ship began to sink, the usual thing that always happens when things go wrong on a LeBron team is a scapegoat emerges. And the scapegoat for that season was Russell Westbrook. Now, let me say this. Did Russell Westbrook have a lot of blunders and lowlights that year? You better believe it. Was Russell Westbrook very combative and defensive with the media? You better believe it. But for them to put that entire mess on Russell Westbrook, I thought was unfair. And I thought that Russell Westbrook quickly discovered that LeBron wasn't as friend as he thought he was. And he was turned into the scapegoat. Russell Westbrook then leaves the Lakers. He goes to the Clippers. And then what happened? What happened was the people that despise Russell Westbrook, the Shannon Sharps and all of these guys, one would have thought that, okay, they would have forgot about him because he's no longer the Lakers. No. It then turned into this thing of, we're going to point out every time Russell Westbrook does wrong and say, you see, he wasn't no good. Now, the question is, why were they doing that? The reason that these guys were so adamant about their criticism towards Westbrook is this. The saying has always been, LeBron makes everybody better. He makes everybody better. So when you have a guy that he couldn't make better or he couldn't work with, their goal was to say, you see, not only could LeBron not work with him, nobody can work with him. So it doesn't look like LeBron couldn't make him better, so they can still hold on to that narrative. And therefore, Russell Westbrook became a target. So even though he was no longer on the Lakers, he was still being targeted by these guys and by media members that support LeBron. That's what was happening. So even on the Lakers, you had LeBron fans still worrying about Russell Westbrook. I'm like, why do you care? He's no longer on your team. And now what has happened is, now that he's joined the Denver Nuggets, these guys are still lurking in the water like some sharks. So when Russell Westbrook had that blunder that he had, who emerges? Nick Wright. And not only does Nick Wright emerge to discuss the mistakes of Russell Westbrook at the end of the game, he then brings LeBron James and then says, Russell Westbrook has not been able to contribute to winning. And then he even mentions LeBron. The question is, where did LeBron come in all of this? It came in because this is what's always on their mind. So he saw it as an opportunity to kill two birds with one stone. One, to kick Westbrook, and two, to elevate LeBron. And you see, he can't win. Nobody can win with him. So all those people saying that LeBron, this is what they're doing. This is what it's all about. This is what all this is. This is what all this is. The thing is, though, they act like as if they're fooling people, and they're not. You guys are quite transparent. And the irony in all of this is this will be the same fan base to turn around and cry about people hating on their king. Make it make sense. As some of you may be aware, John Morant has recently made some news. And first of all, let me just say this. One of the reasons we're covering this is because this is a story that we covered a lot last season when this thing was breaking and really just surprising a lot of people because people just couldn't understand why John Morant was doing what he did. So we have a history of covering this particular story. So for us, we're just kind of picking up where we left off. But yesterday we did a live, and the live was based on a report that we got from Yahoo Sports that said that the NBA was launching an investigation into the Ja Morant incident. So we just want to quickly read from that article. The article has a headline saying, NBA reportedly issues warning to Grizzlies star Ja Morant, Warriors Buddy Hield after finger point taunt. Memphis Grizzlies star and Warriors guard Buddy Hield, in addition to their teams, were issued warnings by the NBA after inappropriate gestures Tuesday night, according to ESPN Shams. Shams reported Wednesday that Morant could be facing punishment after using a finger gun taunt during Tuesday's game, but said Wednesday that the league determined the celebrations were not intended to be violent in nature, but inappropriate and should refrain. An overhead camera caught Morant pointing finger guns at the Warriors bench during the Grizzlies' 134-125 loss on Tuesday. Multiple members of the Warriors noticed the taunt, including Draymond Green, who appeared to approach an official after Morant made the gesture. Morant received a technical foul for the taunt. Warriors guard Buddy Hield was also hit with a technical for imitating the gesture. Morant led the Grizzlies players with 36 points in the loss, and blah, 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 blah. And then it says, Ja Morant's 2023 gun suspension. Morant has received multiple suspensions from the NBA as a result of off-the-court interactions with which involve guns. Morant was initially suspended 8 games in 2023 after flashing a gun during an Instagram Live video. 2 months later, Morant flashed a gun in a separate Instagram Live video. After reviewing those incidents, the NBA issued a 25-game suspension to Morant. Morant has missed the start of the 2023-24 NBA season while serving that suspension. He was limited to just 9 games that season due to shoulder injury, and then the article concludes there. So that's the backdrop. The NBA actually made its decision. I'm actually finding out about this as we are reading this there. So just this morning, I came across some sound here from The Odd Couple, which featured Rob Parker and his guest and his co-host Kevin, and they were discussing this very issue. And essentially what Rob was saying was that, look, the NBA is going to handle Ja Morant a little bit differently because of his history. And then he began to spoke about what Ja could have been. So what we want to do now is we're going to play some of what Rob had to say yesterday about Ja Morant, and then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to what Rob had to say here.
But you're in a different situation, and unfortunately, you're going to be judged differently because the first thing we think of is not Ja Morant, but Ja Wick. And that's what we're calling you, Ja Wick. So the young brother has had to learn, and to his credit, he's tried to do his best, and he has. But this is a setback, minor, small, but you are in the case where you're trying to build back equity and grace with the league and not be on their bad side. So that was my take seeing it was, oh, my gosh, that ain't a big deal. But then I had to think of the person, the history, the transaction. It's just like Isaiah Stewart of the Pistons. Everybody got suspended for that fight they had the other day. He got 2. And you're like, well, he wasn't even in. He ran in later. Because he keeps having issues getting into scuffles.
Trying to be the enforcer or whatever he wants
the bad
to be.
boy, bring the bad boys 2.0 back. And so the league says, what do they say? You got a track record of this. We got to suspend you.
And it should count as a track record. And for Ja, unfortunately, since he's been through all this and suspensions, right, and all the other stuff that's gone on, he's like an afterthought now, which is so sad. He's such a dynamic player. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You don't hear him talk about Ja, do you?
You don't.
Be honest.
He's probably,
this year,
the 10th, 12th guy you talk about.
You just don't. You don't talk about him like he's fallen off the NBA map, so to speak. And then the only time you hear something is something related to, unfortunately, as minor really as it is, and I agree with you.
It's minor, definitely minor.
Under normal circumstances, you might say, can you not do that? Okay? Like, can you not do that?
Right.
But it ain't the end of the world. But because he's had the issues with the guns before, the NBA is going to look at it. And I don't expect a suspension. I expect a stern talking to. Can you just stop, please?
I agree. And I think
I really do.
And I think there might be a mention allowed.
So you heard what Rob Parker had to say about that. What are my thoughts about this? Look, they're very simple. I've always had the position of I'm just confounded at why Ja would put himself in these type of situations. I just don't. I truly don't understand it. Now, what he did in that game is not like as if he broke some rule or anything like that. The fact of the matter is, given his history, they're going to treat him differently. That's just the reality. And when you are aware that you've been punished, served a 25-game suspension served a 9-game suspension, lost out on some serious money, lost out on the opportunity to become the face of the NBA over this, one would think that there would be a heightened level of sensitivity, right? When it pertains to this kind of situation, one would think that you would do everything in your power to ensure that you don't find yourself replicating this type of behavior. So when he did that, a lot of people were turned off. And let me just say this. There are a lot of people that are not a fan of Ja. Let me just say, because we produce shows about this and read a lot of the comments, a lot of people don't even think he should be in the NBA. I'm not one of those people. I don't think that. But a lot of people feel pretty strongly about him. A lot of people feel like Adam Silver has been a little bit too lenient. A lot of people feel like if it was former NBA commissioner David Stern, he would be a lot more, he would come down with a very heavy hand, right? And some people feel like Adam Silver is a little bit too understanding as a commissioner. So there are a lot of people that feel that. I don't feel that extreme. I don't think it should be. I don't think it's that serious. My only thing is why do any of this at all? Why invite the criticism, right? Why even invite the storylines? It's like there's so many things you can make headlines for. Why does it have to be this thing? Now, some people may say, "Oh, it was in a heat of the moment situation." No. Look, you have to be mindful. You have to be mindful about things. You just can't react like that. You got to be mindful. It's just called having presence of mind. There's some people that you tell them to do something, later on they forget. You tell them again to do something, they forget. Tell them and after a while, you say to the person you come off as somebody to me that's not serious. Because when you're serious about what you're doing and you have a presence of mind, you don't keep forgetting the same things over and over. So you can't have a blunder like that. You just simply can ill afford to have it. Now, luckily, he didn't get suspended. He did get a warning. Hopefully, this incident won't repeat itself. I pray it doesn't, for his sake. Because had he got suspended or this thing had escalated rather, it could have hurt his team because his team is in a playoff hunt. And now is not the time where you want to have your star miss any games. It's too critical of a juncture in the season. But nevertheless, I agree with Rob Parker had to say. Ja could have been the face of the NBA. I mean, based on some reports that I read a number of years ago, they were saying that Ja was on track to become a billionaire faster than LeBron James did. Just think about that. A billionaire faster. That's how much of a potential endorsement magnet he could have been. Now, most people don't want to associate with him because of this nonsense.